I'm not sure to succeed, but I can try to.
Okay, I do have it. Okay, can you see it on the screen?
Yes, it's opening. Yes, it's here.
Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to thank the Ministry of Environment of your country for inviting me to speak on this topic. And so, as you said, I will present the regulatory framework of light pollution in France. So I will talk about the necessity to lower light pollution because more qualified people than I spoke on this topic earlier this morning, and it was we made it because we wanted to for the impact on biodiversity and on human health, of course, and for economy of energy consumption. So the first time light pollution appeared in the French legislation was in, let's say, 10 years ago, in what we call the Grenelle laws, because in that time we had what we called the Grenelle de l'environnement. It was a lot of hearings, conferences, debates on the environment in that time. And all the discussions and reflections have resulted in a law, a very big, two laws, in fact, big ones. And there was something about the light pollution. And as written as followed, it's people and for the environment because of artificial light. Two other laws in 2015 and 2016, and each time there was something about light pollution, but not in detail because I don't know how it is in your countries, but in France the law it not goes into detail, but takes the principles, and after that we have other texts to describe more thoroughly. So following, in fact, the Grenelle laws from 29 and 2010, we had a decree. I mentioned the French term because I saw different translations, and I'm not sure that decree and order, the one which mentioned at the end of the slide, is has exactly the same meaning for all countries. But just to have in mind for my presentation, a decree is just below the law and an order is below a decree. So we have a decree in 2011 on prevention and limitation of light pollution. And this decree lists all the type of lighting to be regulated, but I will explain detail it to you later. And this decree said that an order, which is, as I said, under decree, should detail all the prescriptions mentioned in the decree. So 2 years later, not 2 years, let's say 80 months later, in 2013, was published an order, but only on non-residential buildings. So in the tower when you building when you work, or shops, light in shops, and the only prescriptions was on light times. So the idea was to turn the light off when the shop is closed, or when people don't work at night in the building. Next slide, please. And the order of 2013 didn't fulfill all the application scope of the decree. So I said last year, but in fact it's not exactly last year, it was at the end of 2018. A new order was published, and it was modified last year, and so my presentation will mainly focus on this order. Well, the scope of this order. Here is the scope 20 decree that I told earlier. So here are all the lights which should have prescription. So as you see, it's very large. The type A, so exterior lighting for travel security and user comfort. So here you put, of course, all the public lights in the streets, for example. B was heritage enhancements for buildings, for example, museums on old buildings, and gardens, the lights in gardens and parks. C, outdoor sport equipment. D, it's what we had in the order of 2013. Elimination of building facades and interior lighting emitting to the exterior for non-residential buildings. Type E, car parks. F, outdoor events, and G, outdoor sites, because there also can be lights when you have all the sites when you, for example, repair a road or construct a new building. If it's they work during night, there are lights. So next slide, please. And so you have on the one side all the scope I just talked about, and then you have different prescription when you are inside or outside agglomeration. So inside means between the entry and exit signs for a town or a village, and outside, of course, outside these exit signs for astronomical sites, because with the order of 2018 we published another one in the same day, which states 10 astronomical sites for which the light should be very restricted, like light at night, within a perimeter of perimeter of 10 kilometers around this site. And we also have sometimes a special prescription from protected natural areas. And not mentioned in the order, but it's obvious. It's for public and private. We'll talk about some of the prescription. I will not go into the detail because otherwise it will be a long presentation. So basically, we have two kinds of measures: lighting time and technical prescription. So lighting times, the main principle that of course you light just when between dusk and dawn, and where there is a link with the activity, for example, lighting for a factory, a car park linked to a mall or a factory, the light should be turned off when there is no activity. And of course, the same for shopping window or gardens, etc. We didn't set obligation to turn the light off for public lighting, but in the text, we invited the mayor to think about turn the light off during night. And we also have some technical prescription. So the light should go downward and not upward. We have prescription also on the color temperature. Usually depends, but usually it's 300 Kelvin. We also put the flow code number 3 from the CIE to limit the glare. So the 95% of the light should be in a cone of 75.5 degree. And the luminous flux density, but I will explain it to you in another slide. So all these prescriptions are made to, in fact, to get sobriety of lighting, and of course it's let's say it's a minimum. So if one wants to light to go further, of course it's possible. So now I just have some examples of prescriptions. So of proportion of upward lighting for types A and E. So A, let's say it's basically the public lighting. It's more than that, but let's say it's that. And E, it's the car parks. So we a poor lighting ratio inferior to 1% for nominal value. So for the light who goes from the factory, except for style lanterns, it's 4%, and percent in, let's say, in real life. It's very, very slight, but just to mention the intrusive light, no excessive light in housings. I have another example of prescription in the next slide. So the surface density of luminous flux, we made the choice not to lux or in candela, but in lumen per square meter. You will say lux is lumen per square meter, but it's not exactly the same, and it's not the same way to control it. So we say that for an area, a given area, for example, a street, you have, let's say, a light allocation in lumen per square meter for, let's say, normal road in agglomeration. It's 35 lumen per square meter. How you calculate it? You sum all the lumen from the lamps in a given area, and you divide it by the surface you want to light in this area. For here, so it's written in French, but it's I think it's easy to understand. And the night, the black in the middle is a road. The gray lines are the pavements, and the green lines are surrounding area. So in this example, if you want to light only pavements and road, you calculate the surface of this areas, and it's the surface you want to take, and you have the lumen, the maximum lumen you can you're allowed to put there. And of course, you can put, for example, more lumen in the road than on the pavement. It's up to you, but the principle is to fulfill the allocation you are given. As I said previously, there are specific rules for protected natural areas. So we have several types of protected natural areas: national park, regional natural parks, etc., etc. And it depends. For them, we have different prescription. Some of them are more restrictive. For example, in a natural reserve, it's a maximum 2,400 Kelvin for the color temperature. And the prefect, so it's in departments, so it's a part of France is divided in departments, in 100 departments, and the prefect can enforce more restrictive prescription once local authorities have issued their opinion in these protected natural areas. So there is a local way to be more strict. And also light cannons, which are above 100,000 lumen, and laser beams are banned from these areas. And we also banned the lights of aquatic environment, except for security. And this is everywhere, not for only for protected natural areas. Next slide, please. So entry into force. So cannon ban was banned already. All the new installations from the beginning of this year has to fulfill all the prescription of this order. And for next slide, for the, let's say, the old ones, we didn't want to put a date from which all the old lamps should have to fulfill the requirements, because it would be very cost a lot of money for all the the communities, for example, and the different owners of this light. And also it would be a waste also of products. So we just put some prescription, but for some prescriptions, but not for all of them. For example, if I said previously that should be no light above the horizontal with the ULR at 4%, and if the ULR is above 4%, and if it's possible to modify the light, so do it. It should have been done last year. The same for aquatic environment lighting. If there's environment lighting of aquatic environment just because it's let's say beautiful, so it should be already turned off. Sorry. The time prescriptions for I talked previously will be compulsory next year. And in 4 years, we will ban all luminaires lighting above 50%. So that's it. So it's for to have, when it's possible, to have the prescription fulfilled, but when it's not possible, so we wait until a new light is set. So as in conclusion, you say the order is a step in the regulation of light pollution. It's rather new, so for the moment, not everybody knows it, and it's really, we have many discussions with professionals, managers, owners, etc. to get them compulsory with it, because maybe you noticed it, but it's not really always compliant with the European norm. And so have to have many talks with the professionals to explain that yes, it's not compliant, but that's life, and they have to think about a new way to dimension the light needed for to set proper lights which fulfills with this regulation. And so what we want, in fact, to achieve is to light what is needed when it is needed, and ask really, is light is appropriate for what purpose, what about how long? Because in France, as in other countries, it was said this morning earlier, we also see that more and more places are illuminated, and let's say the more it is illuminated, the wealthiest you seems to be, and it's for the moment it's seen as an improvement to have more lights, and now we try to say that no, more light is not an improvement; it's rather a catastrophe. Well, thank you for your attention.